When it comes to Night Rain, a lot of people have been focusing on Hellstar the Nightlord in terms of power scaling. Now that is understandable as he has some of the craziest visual showings that we've ever seen in any From Software game. However, I think the other Nightlords deserve just as much praise as he does. In today's video, I'll be going over the general scaling when it comes to the other 7 Nightlords, excluding Hellstar obviously. So just enjoy the video. As a baseline for the scaling, all the Nightlords should scale above all the main Night bosses, with maybe the exception of one which I'll go over later. This should just be due to it being said that each Night boss is just the commander of the Nightlords, and the bosses further being hyped as bosses most mortals cannot reach. A majority of bosses would scale above Ancient Dragons, Crucible Knights, or both variants of Tree Sentinels, who are the greatest defenders of the Earth Tree aside from the demigods themselves. They should also logically scale above all the bosses on the map as the night goes on to consume all the bosses and the map itself, with you needing to kill the Nightlord to reverse this. So they should also likely scale above the likes of Estelle. You then have bosses like Agor scaling above Godric, or the Dark Knight being above even the likes of the Nameless King. And most impressively, Tricephalus has Morgoth appearing as his commander. Morgoth being a character that scales directly to a younger Radahn who's likely already held the stars in place. He's feared by anyone who has ambitions against the Herb Tree, and likely has scaling into Renala or base Empyreans due to Mesmer repeatedly stating to be on par with the other demigods we've previously faced, in which the statement also mentioned Morgoth himself. So at least Morgoth and Mesmer should be on similar footing, and Mesmer himself scales above Relana, who has parallels to Renala, and it is even stated that the full power of the moon cannot give Mesmer full assistance. Mesmer directly scales above her, who should be above Renala, as they use the same power of the moon, but she also has the power of fire. You could say Tricephalus directly scales above him, or that they're at least relative, as Morgoth is portrayed similarly to the other Nightlords, with him being the only boss that can spawn in during the day like Agor, Libra, or the Sentient Pest, and him giving a similar buff after defeating them. He can also appear even after you defeat the Knights of Commander when the Night tag gets stronger. So you could either say Tricephalus is on par or above Morgoth. As I already explained, they should also go above Tree Sentinels or Draconic Tree Sentinels, who should be in a similar tier to Godric, due to them slaying Ancient Dragons, the same dragon above the Drakes that Godric admired for their power. Godric is in the small country rages due to his earthquake stated capable of shaking the earth, so I'll show up the calc for that. Fulgur directly scales above the Nameless King, who Stormdrake has a small country calc for his own, giving such a line of scaling consistency. If you think that all the Nightlords would be above the likes of Estelle, then they should all just be star level, as Estelle is just verbatim a star, and can even create miniature stars. Then you have Tricephalus, who is above or relative to Morgoth, who scales above a young Radahn who stopped hundreds of stars, which was calced at large star. However, it's more than likely it was all the stars in the universe, as Carians have knowledge about the great beyond, which is just beyond the universe. So they should have an understanding of everything in it. And it doesn't really make sense for only a couple hundred stars being linked to Ronnie's fate. It should logically include all of them. I'll show up the calc, but I calculated it to be multisolar. But even then, there are higher armaments, or Renala creating a universe which ranges from baseline universal to possibly uni plus if you think she created the time space too. So most of the Nightlords would be anywhere from small country to possibly star, with Tricephalus being the only one scaling to a large star to uni plus. They should scale above the lightning from Ancient Dragons, with the Gaping Jaw even using lightning directly. They should also be above the Foddered Flowers that can call down beams of light, and the Golden Ring incantations due to Foddered members of the Golden Order being capable of using it, so they'd be either Speed of Light or FTL. You could argue MFTL plus due to Radahn and Renala's magic needing to travel such speeds to reach every star or create a universe. You could also then argue Infinite or Measurable Speed, since they do have some degree of control over the night, but I don't think it's that valid for interpretation, as it's mainly Hellstar controlling it, with the other Nightlords controlling only small parts of it. I would go over hacks and abilities, but it's pretty obviously what they are. So to summarize, all of them should be in that low demigods tier, with only really Tricephalus being in that mid to high range. I know it was a bit of a shorter video, but yeah, that's because I want to save a lot of effort for my collab with Abyss, because it turned out the recording was an hour and 30 minutes long. So it'll take a bit longer than I expected. So it'll probably be released next week, to be honest with you. But drop any suggestions below, and just thank you for watching the video.